My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand a new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news. We are back with Glenn for the Cossy and Glenn podcast, and we're going to be talking into Ricardo Calafiori. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are one of the clubs that have registered strong interest in Calafiori as we enter in July, where Arsenal are expected to make some concrete moves. Also, we'll be talking into Kimmich and Nico Williams. We've never talked about Kimmich with Glenn on this channel, so we're going to be diving into what Kimmich brings to Arsenal, but most importantly, why he would be such a very important replacement for a player like Thomas Partey. And then Saka and Declan Rice are receiving lots of abuse, and lots of disrespect, in my opinion, from the English media and English fans. That is unjustified. We'll talk into that. Is England really, crumbling because of Saka and because of Declan Rice? Personally, I don't think so. Glenn, welcome back to this channel. How have you been, bro?
Nice to be back. We're approaching July now. You're expecting some deals to be done. I've enjoyed the Euros and a couple of days break away from football, but can't wait to get back to it.
Yeah, definitely. Big up to people in the comment box already. Scooby says greetings to you, Cossy and Glenn. Yana says, I can't wait to hear a certain news of the signing of at least one. What is taking Arsenal long this summer? I'll explain that later on. Justin says, Cossy, good evening. What is the profile of Calafiori? We're going to be diving into Calafiori. Good evening to you, Mohammed. Good evening to you, Musa. Good evening to you, Chana, as well. And a couple of other people as well in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Now, where do we start? Let's start off with the Euros, because they've been a little bit entertaining for me. And I think despite the fact that we have not had so many signings, I've had a very entertaining summer. I've had a very, very entertaining breakaway from the season. However, the English media seem to think and they seem to feel that Saka and Declan Rice are the reason as to why England have been the worst performers at the Euros. Because honestly, I'm not going to lie, they've been atrocious. They've been, for me, given expectation, they've been the worst team to watch. I wouldn't really want to watch another England game. So, Glenn, Saka, Rice, it is slow for England. It is unwatchable. Are they to blame?
Yeah, bro, these are one of the reasons why I in my lifetime I don't want them to win anything. Yep. Because of things like that. Like I'm praying that Slovakia beat them. Now, in terms of, there's a lot of things I don't agree with, because I've seen a lot of people talking about Rice and Saka, and people are even talking about him being dropped for Arsenal. I'm like, what? First of all, what Rice and Saka do for England, I don't care about. Because I know what they give us as an Arsenal fan. I'm not an England fan. I'm not a France fan. I'm not a Netherlands fan. Whatever Saliba does for France, whatever Saka does for England, doesn't really affect me. If he goes and gets a red card, whatever. As long as he doesn't do that for Arsenal, it doesn't matter. But Rice, I know we've also said a few things about Rice as a number 6 and stuff. Yes, I've seen him making a couple of mistakes, but 2 of those games, one of them, he had the highest rating out of any England player. And the recent game against Slovenia, he had the second rating after Foden. Foden, I think, had 7.8 and he had 7.5. So he's still been one of the best players in the team. Like, Rice has not been one of their best players at all. Like, if you're to write the top 3 players at England right now so far this tournament, I mean, I'd say Gehi is up there. I'd probably say it's tough. I'd say Rice is in the top 3. And then from there, I'm kind of struggling. Maybe I had Stones, because the forward players, all of them are not being great. Foden hasn't been great. Kane hasn't been great and all that. But Rice has not been the worst player for England. He is very good. And I personally don't think Rice as a number 6 is a disaster. I prefer him as a number 8. He intercepts and tackles from the front. He puts on the attack quick and all that. And he can score goals. He can assist. I prefer him as a number 8. But I don't think, like, if Rice plays as a number 6, we are going to, like, absolutely struggle as Arsenal. He played there against Man United at the beginning of the season. He played there against Chelsea. Went forward, scored a goal. He played there up until like January, and we didn't really struggle because Rice was playing as a number 6. We had other problems. So whatever it does for England, I don't think it's been their worst player. Now for Saka, first game is the one who got the assist. Like, if Saka, even if Saka scored 3 goals in the first game, they'll always have something to say, because Saka got an assist.
Something
like,
negative. Yeah, something negative.
It's a deflection. If it was Palmer, if you want to play Palmer, play Palmer. I'm happy. If you want to bench Saka, bench him so that he rests and comes to Arsenal and he's fresh. Play Palmer. Play Palmer is better than Saka. Play him. We don't care about that. Rest Saka, absolutely fine. If you want to bench Rice, absolutely fine. But I don't think they've been their worst players. I think England as a collective with Southgate, they're not great in terms of they like defending. Kane comes deep and then it confuses everyone. Saka the other day saw him getting a few fouls and winning them a lot of free kicks, being tackled as they know he's dangerous. Now, I don't think any of them has been worse. I don't think Saka is struggling as a right wing. I'm hearing that they want to play him as a left back, and they've thrown Saka into the median now and asked him a difficult question, and then he's answered it. I would have felt if I was him, I'd have kept quiet about it. But listen, wherever they play Saka, it's up to them. But if they play him at left back and then he struggles, we'll still hear more things. So for me, good luck in your international career. If I was them, I'd do a Ben White. I'd be like, forget about it. I'm going on holiday. Good luck.
100%. Now, for me, at this point, this is where I understand Ben White's call. You can't be really, under such circumstances. I don't think Saka and Rice are the reason as to why England are not progressive. Rice has been accused of releasing the ball too late. He's released the ball quicker than actually almost everyone at the Euros, except 8 players. I don't think that Rice is the reason Bellingham is not good. I don't think Rice is the reason as to why Foden is being played out of position on the left-hand side and Gordon doesn't play. I don't think that Rice is the reason as to why Harry Kane is dropping deep and not stretching the back line. There's so many things. I'm looking into this England lineup and I'm like, why don't you just talk about your manager? Why don't you just speak the truth? The truth is you do not have a manager as good as Nagelsmann. You don't have a manager as good as Del Fuente. You don't have a manager as good as Spalletti. You just don't have that. And look, if we went to the Champions League and we met Ancelotti and then we met Diego Simeone and then we met Pep Guardiola and we were out, it would be easy. We would say we didn't have a manager that is as experienced at that level as these managers, and as simple as that. So for me, I just don't understand.
And on top
really,
of that,
really don't.
They do blame the manager, everyone, but there's always that addition of then it's this Arsenal players. Like the Arsenal players thing is always in the media, man. It's always there.
I just don't know.
Like,
I think I think it's because we've been kind of a surprise for the last 2 years. So there's a lot of unnecessary criticism to our players, even if it's not for England. Like there's just a lot of unnecessary criticism to Arsenal. I don't get where the Arsenal hate is coming from. I don't get where the negativity is coming from. It is not warranted. Like not anywhere, in any way, shape, or form. Saka's been so consistent for them to an extent that he's undroppable. And for you to be undroppable, for England right now with the talent they have, you've done well. You've absolutely done well. This is not a Harry Maguire situation where the manager is obsessed with Harry Maguire. We're talking about a Saka who's literally been a star player for Arsenal and for England over the last 2 seasons. He's picked up injuries. He's played with injuries. He's kept on going. I really wish.
Yeah, let me read for you something from Rice the other day against Slovenia. He won 4 out of 6 ground duels. That was the most in the game. He won 100% of his aerial duels. He won 100% of his tackles, 3 out of 3. He completed 100% of his long balls, 3 out of 3. He made 1 interception, 74 touches, 52 passes completed. He made 2 key passes, 91% pass accuracy, 100% tackles, 100% dribbles completed. But you're trying to convince me that Rice was the worst player on the pitch. He was the best player on the pitch. If he was bad, the good that he is for England is not the good that he is for us, but that's their problem. It's not because of, you can never convince me that Rice is not a good player. You cannot tell me that because Rice is like struggling in a certain position in the England team. At Arsenal is different. At Arsenal you could have Partey, you could have Jorginho, you'll have Odegaard, like up to them. But for me, like I really don't want them to win anything because there'll always be something. I don't think they deserve to win.
I've made a tweet today, and this is what I said. Rice is not Jorginho. Rice is not Rodri. Rice is not Cruz. Rice is not Xavi. And he is not Andrea Pirlo. So, like England want him to be. That is why Arteta plays a Partey or a Jorginho next to him, and everyone sees him as world class. Because when you play Rice alongside, because what helps you, like you always say, Glenn, he helps you to win the ball back quickly, high up the pitch, and he's got that energy, and he doesn't run out of energy. He's a battery. I think there is he's these Duracell batteries. He's durable. You can never run him out of energy. So for me, the fact that they no longer have Calvin Phillips, the fact that they're struggling to progress the ball, the fact that they're trying to fit Bellingham, and I don't think Bellingham had a good game. against Slovenia. I don't think his attitude was all right. And these Arsenal players, by the way, they keep a positive attitude. If it was Declan Rice with that Bellingham attitude, we'd be talking about something different. We'd be talking about, oh, look at Declan Rice, look at the best defensive midfielder in the world, look at his attitude, look at the leader that Arsenal said that he would be captain in a couple of years. Look at his attitude. But because it's Jude Bellingham, somehow he runs away from criticism because it's ABC. Because Harry Kane has been one of the most atrocious strikers at the Euros. Georgia have a striker. I really cannot pronounce his name. It's like Mikatidze, something like that.
The top scorer.
Yeah, like that guy has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And even Slovenia, their shot number 9, I think I wouldn't really say I wouldn't really say Šeško has been fantastic, but the shot number 9 for Slovenia this tournament, his movement, the way he's been playing, he's been really, really phenomenal as well. So for me, that Arsenal hate unjustified, and I just give up to anyone, including Paul Scholes, including a person like Paul Scholes. I was shocked. I was really, really shocked. Anyone, look, if it was Simon Jordan, if it was Jamie O'Hara,
Scholes probably hates Arsenal, though. I mean, it's the Ian Wright one that was a bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, Ian Wright was weird, suggesting for him to be played, at left back. If you don't want to use him, keep him out.
Bench him. Keep him on the bench. You're happy. If England bench Saka, it's beneficial to us. He rests more.
Now, someone asked us, Glenn, what is the profile of Ricardo Calafiori? But before we get into the profile of Ricardo Calafiori, Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Arsenal are, among the teams that are definitely trying to get Ricardo Calafiori this summer. Now, amongst all the other reasons, Fabrizio doesn't quote the price as a problem for Arsenal, which I really like. But he says that, he's one of those players that Juventus are really, really also admiring. They view the price as high, but if they can agree a deal, then Juve would be seen as a club in the driving seat. But Calafiori wanted by a couple of clubs, lighting it up the Euros. Let's start there. Mikel doesn't trust anyone at left back. Do you think, you've seen Ricardo Calafiori for a few games, do you think he comes in at left back and he gives us that kind of profile that Mikel Arteta would trust?
Now, in terms of watching him for Bologna, I can't lie. I never watched him for Bologna, but Bologna had a very good season. Yeah. And actually, the player that we are linked to from Bologna was Zaxi, so no one really thought about Calafiori. I'm sure before the Euros, if you ask people about Calafiori, 90% of people didn't really know him.
Very few people.
But before I even knew that he was linked to us, so I watched him for those 2-3 games after he started trending, and I was like, this guy is really good. That run he made against Croatia for the last minute goal, he looks very comfortable on the ball. Remember, I asked you yesterday, is he even left-footed or right-footed? Because I've seen him use both. I don't even know which one he is, but seems like he is left-footed. Now, in terms of his profile, he's very good on the ball, for sure. He's not afraid to run with the ball, pass, complete a pass. If there's no pass available, he can keep the ball a bit. There's some defenders who rush the pass, like they're not comfortable in the ball, they rush the pass. But for him, he's comfortable in the ball. He can drive with it. He can play. He plays on the left of Bastoni. He can also play as a left back potentially. And not only is he good attacking, it's very hard to get a combination because we know that Zinchenko. For me, I personally don't think Zinchenko is a completely crap player. I know many of you think that he's not the best at defending. I know that he's not the best at defending. We are not going to play Zinchenko against Man City, against Foden, and against Salah and survive that. Yes, but if we play him against the Nottingham or something like that, okay, maybe not against the Langas, but some other players. Like, I'm not scared, like, oh my goodness, Zinchenko is there, like the way I used to be scared with Santos and Senderos and those players. But he's not the best defender.
Do you think Zinchenko is defensively better than Santos?
You and me are better defensively than Santos. Now, I'm telling you, Santos makes Zinchenko look like Maldini defensively. Zinchenko is comfortable on the ball, and in terms of going forward, again, the last Ukraine game, if you look at his stats, and I watched the game, he was very good. I was even like,
phenomenal.
This player is not bad. So he should probably play as a midfielder, or when you're trying to attack, he can come on at left back as an attack, or I'd like to see him like in a back five. I don't know how we do at left wing back or something, but defensively is not the best. We know that. Tomiyasu, man marking and defending, tackles, all that is very good. Clearing the ball, heading, very, very good. One of the best. If you want someone to man mark someone, you probably have Tomiyasu. He should have been there against Son in the first leg. I don't know why he was not there. Now, in terms of attacking, Tomiyasu is not the best. Like in the last game against Everton, I think he got a couple of chances before he scored in that game. He missed them. I think I had in the first minute and then another one. So it's not the best attacking wise Tomiyasu. So basically, Calafiori is, I'd say, kind of a combination. He's good on the ball, like Zinchenko. He can, can pass the ball. He can make a through pass. He can. Last season, I think he created 14 chances for Bologna. He's a defender, 14 chances, and I think 5 or 6 assists or something like that. As a defender, that is really, really good.
A defender who was not playing at left back, a defender who was playing at centre back.
Centre back, and he can get you 6 assists. That is a very good defender. Now, that is in terms of his attacking ability, but what about his defensive ability? Also absolutely incredible. Interceptions, he was leading. I don't remember all the stats offered, but I know he was leading, I think, in terms of interceptions, in terms of tackles made, in terms of, I think, ball possession won or something like that, and that is also the same.
Recoveries,
and is leading that for Italy right now as well. And for Italy, they have probably the best defenders right now, because Inter Milan, the last couple of seasons, the likes of Bastoni, Di Marco, Damian, they've all been absolutely incredible. So
Lorenzo,
but he would be a very good signing, both in terms of attacking and also defending. And I would not be surprised if our first signing ended up being another defender, because it looks like, listen, there's a time you aren't really good at defending. We'd win 3-2, 4-2, we'd keep like 8 clean sheets in a season and we'd be happy. Last season, 18 clean sheets, and almost 10 of we could have had 28 clean sheets, because a couple of those games he considered last minute, like Wolves, Nottingham twice, mistake against Tottenham. He could have had 25 clean sheets or something. Now, maybe at once, like, listen, now you're going to keep 26, 27 clean sheets and not going to concede goals at all. If you combine that with our forward players taking chances and scoring, we're in a different level. So I'd not be surprised if he ended up adding a defender. If it's to the benefit of the team, I absolutely don't mind it. Personally, I'm okay with our 7 defenders. I want us to get a midfielder, striker, and a winger. But if you can't get a defender who's available, an opportunity, as Cossy says, then absolutely fine. But I don't know if it's an opportunity because of the money.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about him in terms of the money and also in terms of the deal being an opportunity. But to answer your question, you asked, someone asked, what is the profile of Riccardo Calafiori? So a summary of him: Italian young centre back, left-footed, predominantly plays at left centre back, but can play at left back as well. We are talking about a player at 22. He's already in the Italian national team. Now, that is very key, because with Italians, we know that they produce defenders, and we know that the defenders have got that bit of longevity. You saw with Bonucci, you saw with Cerini as well. They've got that bit of longevity, and among all their problems, defense has never been, one of their problems. Of course, they've not. You have not seen players like Spinazzola, who are very good, at the previous Euros. Players like, Calabria, again, one of the best players, for AC Milan, and Italy. You've not seen players like that yet. So defensively, Italy have never been short. Maybe they have ever, but we have not grown up to know that Italy are short of defenders,
especially Maldini's and stuff.
Exactly. So for a 22-year-old who plays for Bologna, he doesn't play for Juve, he doesn't play for Fiorentina, he doesn't play for AC Milan, he doesn't play for Inter, and he's not won the Scudetto with Napoli last season, but won, or with Inter Milan last season. We're talking about a guy who's literally come out of nowhere under Thiago Motta. And they've taken the league by storm, and he has also been called up for the English for the Italian national team. So basically, he's a Josko Gvardiol kind of player, and I think that's what you're looking for. What does he do? How different is he from what we have, right? So he's more of a Josko Gvardiol kind of player, and that's what Mikel has been trying to orchestrate in recent signings. He's been trying to find a player who is defensively so solid, but also in the attacking sense available. Probably not. You cannot be so like Marcelo, right, in terms of going forward, and then you're like Maldini defensively, but you can be in between there. So what we saw with Josko Gvardiol at City last season was a player who even scored some important goals, even in the UEFA Champions League. Was it against Madrid?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, a belter against Real Madrid. Scored, I think there was it was Fulham, wasn't it? A game that we were all highly anticipating. Man City could drop points here, and he just goes on and scores an easy goal against Leno. And it's for me, it's a winger goal, it's a centre forward goal, and scored by a left-footed defender, a left-footed centre back inside the penalty area. with his right foot. So I think that's what Mikel Arteta is also looking for. Someone that can give you a bit of defensive assurance to keep the number of clean sheets that we keep higher and even better, but also someone who can join the attack, increase the chances that we're scoring and creating on that left-hand side. Now, if I was to compare him to the likes of to the players we have, in terms of an Alexander Zinchenko, I don't think they're very similar to Zinchenko. I don't think he's very similar to Zinchenko. I think he's different. With him, defensively, he is better, physically better in terms of IQ. Defensively, he's also much better. He knows where his defender, his striker is. He knows where the player is trying to mark is, and he knows when to tackle and when not to slide in. So defensively, he's like 100% better than Alexander Zinchenko. In possession, he's more of a driver and he's more like a Marco Crella. If you've seen him for Italy, he's more like a Marco Crella. You'll see him like a bombing through the midfield or bombing down the line, and just adding that pace to pace to the team. So again, it's different from Zinchenko because Zinchenko is a player who's happy to take care of the ball in that midfield area and and just possess and dominate. So different from Alexander Zinchenko. He can do a couple of crosses. He can help players like Gabriel Martinelli, with his pace. If you have his pace with Gabriel Martinelli's pace, I think defenders would really, really struggle to keep up with those two. If I compare him to Jakub Kiwior, now Jakub Kiwior attacking wise is not the guy, like literally not the guy. You wouldn't say we have Kiwior, we're going to score, or we have Kiwior, we're going to create, or we have Kiwior, we are going to do this and that. We
did see some improvements, but obviously he's not the guy to attack.
He's definitely not the guy to attack. But defensively, you could compare him to a player like Jakub Kiwior because both of them, their education is of a centre back that can also play and can be adapted at left back. So again, attacking wise, not there, but defensively, he is there. If you compare him to Tomiyasu, again, both of them are very, very good defensive player that can be played at left back and also centre back. But attacking wise, again, is better than Tomiyasu. We just talked about Tomiyasu being that guy that will get a couple of chances, but he doesn't want to be in that position where the team is creating chances for him. To Barry, he would rather be defensively waiting for us to lose the ball in order to pick it up. So I think the player that confuses me, or the player that comes close to him in this Arsenal setup, or he comes close to, is Julian Timber. Because Timber in possession is a masterclass, like real masterclass. Defensively, I have not seen defensive problems with him, but depends on what Mikel Arteta wants. But I would say Calafiori and Julian Timber would be the two that Arsenal trust at left back. Timber, of course, being right-footed, doesn't give you that bomb down the line, doesn't give you that Cucurella bomb, that Cucurella speed down the line. So that's what Calafiori brings in. He brings in that ability to just drive down the line, like you see, you see Theo Hernandez, at Italy, at France, or at AC Milan. He's got that ability just to drive. He can start from the midfield. He can start from his own penalty area and drive. So that is the profile of the player looking about. Centre back, happy in possession. He's got his speed. He's got his attacking IQ, and he's a very, very intelligent player, and also very young. Now, Glenn, we don't trust anyone at left back. Do you see Julian Timber and Calafiori forming a partnership like Tomiyasu and Ben White maybe in the future? And then we have those two at left back, and then White, and then Timber and and then White and Tomiyasu at right back.
I think that's what we could see, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if half of their appearances, or let's say at least 30% of the appearances they make would be at centre back, maybe for rotation, or if those players are injured and stuff like that. Now, in terms of who is starting, I think Timber is still the one who's going to start. I don't know how much he's going to recover from his injury.
That is the question. That's the question. Why would he spend 50 million? If he did, why would he spend 50 million on a defender if he's not going to start him?
Again, we never know what is going to happen. And we never know how the injury is affected. ACLs can change careers. I've forgotten the player who there's one player to ask. Is it Bellerin? I think Bellerin did his
Yeah,
ACL and he
Villarreal, yeah.
completely changed. Like after
Yeah.
he got that injury, Bellerin was never the same. So we are hoping that it's not the same for Timber. He can completely recover. He could be a completely different player from the one at Ajax, unfortunately, because of that injury. Now, maybe lose a bit of space. Also, mentality-wise, you could be a bit scared to go into a challenge or drive because you're scared of your ACL popping out again and stuff. So that could happen. Now, in terms of who's going to play at left back, I think they could see some rotation there, depending on the game, depending on the tactics for that game, because Timber is going to come into the midfield and they basically are going to have like a back 3 and 2 in front of them, whether it's Rice and Timber or Partey and Tim or Junior or Timber, whoever it's going to be, depending on the game. If you want a player who's going to come to the midfield and keep the ball in position and form a pivot, then that is Timber. If you want a player who's going to drive forward, then that is Calafiori. We could also have Timber as a right back if White's not available and Timber is the one driving forward or going into midfield from the right side, and then Calafiori is part of the back 3 that stays, him and let's say Saliba and Gabriel. So it brings you a lot of what's the word? Okay, flexibility. That's the word I'm looking for. Like in terms of ideas and predictability as well. Like the opponents cannot know whether it's Ben White is going to overlap today. Is he going to come to midfield? Is Calafiori part of the centre backs? Is he going to drive forward as a full back? Where is Timber going to play? If you have like all 3 of them on the pitch at the same time, it's going to be crazy. I'd not be surprised if you see like 5 of them on the pitch. Calafiori, let's say Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, and Ben White, and then you absolutely confuse the opponents. When they have the ball, we know they can't score. We have pace, they can't hit the ball in behind. We have a lot of pace there. We have a lot of energy, young energy and balance. Players who can head the ball. Gabriel is not scared of going into a tackle. Saliba is not scared of dribbling. Same with Calafiori, same with Timber. So we have a mixture there. And it's been so long since we were talking about like 7-8 defenders that we trust.
And
like,
quality, yeah.
Quality. During Koscielny's time, it was just really him, and a bit of Vermaelen was good, Matsaka was good sometimes, but you look at the wing backs and fullbacks, they were not great. And then if you look at the time we had, maybe, I mean, you can see how I'm struggling to even pick out a defender that was really good. Like there are not too many. Like if you had a good left back,
the question is about Sanya, whether it was good or just consistent.
Yeah, if Sanya was consistent, the left side, we didn't know he was going to play. Was it Gibbs? Was it Clichy? It was all over the place. So having all these defenders, you can have a lot of different ideas, and we can probably keep a lot more clean sheets, and we can create more chances from the back. We can keep position more. Arteta wants to suffocate opponents, as we've been told. Now, if Odegaard and Rice and all those players can suffocate players in the middle and forward players, now the defenders can also do the same, and you throw in a couple of more players to that, then we could see a team keeping 80% of the possession in the other team. Last season, there's so many games we played and the opposition had like 1 shot on target or less. Like so many. So I'd not be surprised if next season a lot of teams have like 0 shots against us again.
Now, okay. The interesting part is the guy who asked about the profile has a big point, Glenn. Would it be better for us to go proper left back, right? And proper left back, I mean, let's look at a player like Fadi Kadioglu. Let's look at a player like Ashley Cole, right? Would it be better for us to go for proper left back? Actually, Ashley Cole is a very good example. Or you think the evolution of football and the evolution of how Mikel Arteta wants to play really still warrants us a centre back that can play as just as a left back because of that defensive security that Mikel Arteta always wants first.
The way that we've been playing has no problem. We've been second twice. We've been close to winning the Premier League twice. The way that we play is not the problem. We know we just need additions to the way that we play. We're not talking about changing the system and going to a back 5 or going to a 4-4-2 or changing from full backs or wing backs and then to inverted midfielders, defenders. No, the way he wants to play it. So we know we've been able to score 90 plus goals last season. We were 2 points away from Man City. We did not win the Premier League because of Arteta's system. No, it is because of not having enough players and a couple of bad decisions here and there and missing chances here and there. So we need to improve on that, not really the system. Now, it would be good to have a variety. Having one who can do the overlapping and having one who can invert, that is what I'd say. But the way football has moved on, that's basically like, so let's just go back to the traditional 4-4-2 where we had the Bergkamp and Henry up front and then Ashley Cole at left back and then Lauren at right back. Let's just play traditional. No, that the football is not like that anymore. Like, you have to know how to, suffocate the opponents, and the midfield is very important. The reason why you have inverted fullbacks is because they want to take charge of the midfield. Guardiola and Arteta, they don't want to lose the ball in midfield. If you lose the ball in midfield, if you lose the midfield battle, you're not going to create chances, and you're going to concede a lot of chances if your midfield has no control. So I have no problem with adding another extra midfielder from defense and having a back three. On top of that, we have Gabriel and Saliba, who have the pace and the energy and the strength and the physicality, all that, to cover whichever striker they're playing. Like, they would come up against, I think, Haaland 3 times, they don't have any problems at all 3 games. That is a very good example. So I don't think we struggle in terms of that. I would want a variety. Yes, it would be good. People have given Tien and those players as an example. A player like that, no, not exactly him, but if you have a variety, if you had a Kadioglu and you also have Zinchenko, I'd say someone who can do the midfield stuff and someone who can overlap and also defend, I need a variety, not in terms of changing the system, no.
Yeah. Now, in terms of price, we are talking 55 million euros. That is the price that is being quoted around Italian media. And Juventus are saying that is too much. Napoli are also saying that is too much. And a couple of other clubs that are interested. He's one player that has a long list of suitors, but most of the clubs are saying that is too much, 55 million euros. But when you think about Arsenal, how much we've spent on defenders, around 46 million euros on Jalen Timber, didn't play for a whole season. 50 million pounds concrete paid at once for Ben White. That is a lot of money there, on that guy. But of course, he's really come good.
35.
35 on Alexander Zinchenko, by the way. That's another, that's another, decent amount, and 35 million pounds. So if they want 55 million euros, then that amounts to around 43 million pounds. So that shouldn't be a problem. The price shouldn't be a problem for Arsenal, should it?
It shouldn't, but considering we haven't sorted out other problems, then it becomes a problem. If you already had a striker, if let's say Zach was already playing for Arsenal from last season and we don't really need another striker and we only need a winger and a midfielder and a defender, then you can go and splash 50 million on a defender. I want us to be strong defensively, continue being strong defensively. That's great. We don't concede chances. That's absolutely perfect. We know if we score a goal, we probably win the game because we know our defense is tight, no problem. But we already have 7 defenders. Yes, we're not sure about Tomiyasu's injury and all that. But in terms of the player positions we can improve, as I always tell you, I feel like striker is one of them. We can add something, add someone there to play the Havertz and Jesus, add a winger to help Saka out, and add a midfielder to help whoever is in midfield. Defensively, I think we have so many different options. Like, how many players can play left back right now? I know it doesn't rate them in terms of whatever it's trying to do next season.
I mean, even Saliba's played left centre back for France, so probably playing there.
Like left back, we could play Tomiyasu, Timber, Zinchenko, give it 4 players. Centre back, you could play like 7 of them. Right back, like 5 of them. So if we've sorted out our other positions, we have a striker, we have a winger to help out Saka, and you have a midfield, and then listen, we have like 30 million, or you're going to go for a loan deal, then you can throw in a defender. Unless like you've completely like whatever, like signing a defender is going to help you like cover one of those things. Like Kadioglu can also play, he plays a lot of different positions, for example. Yeah. So if you feel like, yes, you're adding a left back, but he can also play as a right wing when Saka needs to rest, then that's, basically the stones and birds. Hitting 2 birds with 1 stone, that's saying, yeah, it's basically that.
Yeah. Now, I think Arsenal are very confident that one player is leaving at left back, because when you think about all reports, among all the reports that have actually come out, striker, there have been some changes somewhere. Goalkeeper, there were some changes somewhere. Midfield, we turned from an 8 to a 6, and then to the possibility of Arsenal bringing in 2. Left back has not changed. Every single report that comes out at left back is still very concrete, that the plan is very, very clear. And we know when a plan is clear for Mikelata and Edu, it happens. Rice, Jesus, Zinchenko, when the plan is clear, it happens. The likes of Ben White. So who do you see as the casualty at left back?
That's a
realistically, I know you might not want them to leave, but who do you see realistically as the guy that we're going to sacrifice out of the door, someone new comes in.
I have a feeling Kiwi is going to be the one to leave.
I have a feeling too. I do.
I don't want him to leave. I don't want Kiwi or Zinchenko to leave. Now, if you're to listen, this is another plot, another twist in the plot. Like, I really want Zinchenko to stay. But if you told me, Glenn, you have one of them has to go. Tomiyasu, Timber, Zinchenko, and Kivio, then I'd probably say fine. Zinchenko would be the one I say, okay, fine, because there's more on the other players, and I think we have more in terms of players who can do what Zinchenko can do. But who do I think is going to leave? I feel like Kiev is going to be the one to leave. Also, on top of that, is because I don't think too many teams want Zinchenko right now, especially in terms of that fee. And Kiev is the one who'd be cheaper, I'd say. And he's played in Italy before, so other teams would want him. I think that is the easier one, because Zinchenko was bought by Arteta from Man City and Jesus. So there's still a bit of me that feels like, is he really going to sell them after 1-2 seasons, or are you going to keep them again? Because he's the one who signed them from Man City personally. Now, Kivio, those are the easier ones, January signing 1 year and then you let them go. I want him to stay, but I feel like he's going to be the one to leave, unfortunately. But I'd be so happy if all of them stayed, because our defense, I don't think, is our biggest problem. But yes, I do feel like Kivio would be the casualty, and then maybe quickly followed by Zinchenko. If it was like 100%, I'd say 60% Kivio, 40% Zinchenko.
Let's try it out with the comments, guys. Who is the one you would let go, Zinchenko or Kivio?
Zinchenko, I already know the answer.
Zinchenko obviously doesn't have that defensive ounce, but you remember that we brought him on against Bayern, and that's actually very, very crucial. It's a very crucial point, a turning point in Alexander Zinchenko's importance at Arsenal. He was brought on. Arsenal were 2-1 down, like literally a goal down, and instead of bringing on he takes off Kivio, who had struggled, and he brings on Alexander Zinchenko. And I'm like, this is really, really bizarre. Why is he done that? And we went on to get a point out of that game. We went on to dominate. I liked it, right? I think for me, at times, Mikel Arteta has overrated his abilities, especially out of position. Why do you play him against Moussa Diaby and Leon Bailey and Nicolo Zaniolo's Aston Villa? That is kind of, doing the Abraham Isaac thing of sacrificing your own son. You wouldn't really do that. So who should we let go? Zinchenko has been there for 2 seasons. Premier League winner, has got the experience, and of course, has captained Ukraine on a couple of occasions. Or Jakub Kivio, still young, offers are coming in. Juventus want him, Napoli want him, AC Milan want him. Would you just easily cash in on him? Let me know in the comment box below. So, Glenn, Kimmich is in the news. Obviously, the one thing I believe, I don't know whether everyone person believes like me, Kimmich wins Arsenal the league. Like, I think he's the only one player that doesn't score goals that I look at, and I'm like, if Arsenal sign him, we actually win the league. He's been linked, and he's put Arsenal among the top 5 clubs that he wants to join. Madrid are there, Barcelona are there, Man City, Liverpool are there, and Arsenal. The question with Kimmich is, I want you to honestly tell me, does he replace Partey and we are safe?
I think he's probably one of the few. I wouldn't go as, I don't know. I feel like, yes, he has that experience, a lot of experience and a lot of versatility, and he probably takes us to the league, winning the league. For me to say that someone definitely wins us the league is going to be between 2 or 3 strikers. Now, he's a very, very good player. Replacing Partey is not easy. Like, if Partey was fit and he was like 29, we'd be so happy. We'd be covered for the next 3 years. I think also like Partey and Gabriel, since they've been at Arsenal for 4 years, the first 2 years, I feel like it was kind of a waste because we were not really a good team at that time. So I wish we signed Partey and Gabriel, take 2 years away from their age and then sign them in 2022 and you're starting to be a good team, because at that time you aren't a good team. Sure. Partey is really good in that midfield, like control. There's a reason why when other teams talk about Arsenal, when Partey was back, they were like, oh, now they have Partey, Rice, and they have Odegaard in midfield. This is crazy. Would they say the same with Kimmich, Odegaard, and Rice? Potentially. Kimmich has the experience. He knocked us out of the Champions League last season. He's captained both his country and club. He can play as a right back. The intelligence is there, like the game intelligence, the positioning, all that is very good. Even if he's not the strongest up against Onana, because he did say something good about him last time, like they wouldn't get close to him. He has the football intelligence. He has the technique. He knows which position to be. He knows which run to make, which opening to move to create a pass for Gabriel or Saliba, all that. He's very good at that. Replacing Partey is not easy. I don't think Onana replaces Partey. I don't think Fofana replaces Partey. I don't even think Zubimendi replaces Partey. I think the only one or two players, maybe Kimmich, should be there because of that experience.
I think the only thing Fofana and Onana bring is physicality. You get Partey's physicality in those two, and maybe the ability to cover a lot of ground.
I wish there was a way you could just buy an aspect from a player. We buy Kimmich and then we buy Onana's physicality from Everton
legs,
for 5 million
and his long legs.
And then we throw it to Kimmich, then we become unstoppable. Now, in terms of physicality and all that, like if Onana and Soucek came close to Kimmich, I don't know how he'll be able to handle that. Because with Partey and Rice in the last 5-6 games, I just felt so safe. Like there was sometimes like we were 1-0 up and we were playing Liverpool Man City. That Man City game 0-0. Man City would have the ball. Sometimes I'd turn to my phone to tweet something because I'm not scared that Man City is going to create a chance. Like usually 2-3 years ago, I'd be like, oh my goodness, Man City have the ball. These days I feel so safe with those players there. So Kimmich availability is usually there. The experience is there. The know-how of the game is there. The versatility is there. I mean, Kimmich can play as a right back. We've tried Partey as a right back. It hasn't worked. So Kimmich as a right back, we definitely all prefer that. Mm-hmm. Now, for Thomas Partey, like there's 3 or 4 problems at the moment. So you'd want him to stay. But if he does stay, it means next season he goes on a free. We don't get any money for him. Now, Partey's age is not on his side. His injuries are not on his side. His wage is not on his side. And, his contract is not on his side. So there's a lot of reasons pointing out to him potentially moving out. So I don't know what is going to happen to Partey. But in terms of replacing him, I think Kimmich is probably the closest. I don't see anyone really else that is close to that.
I wouldn't even think twice for Kimmich. The price at which he's going to go for, it's a no-brainer. And many people actually think that Arsenal signing young players is the most attractive thing. I mean, beauty always lies in the hands of the beholder. For me, I love that experience of a player. Like right now, even though Toni Kroos is quitting football, if he said I'd want one more season, one last dance, I would take Toni Kroos at Arsenal, not to play every game, but to just to do some of his magic, in a few games here and there. Imagine Arsenal being,
Go ahead.
I imagine Arsenal being on the ball for 70% of the game, and then you have Kroos pulling the strings. That is it. Like that should not be allowed in football. Yeah.
Out of the last 14 years, which players do you think we've signed that have been on the caliber of players like Kimmich? Would you include Aubameyang there?
Yeah, I would put Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang there because when he came in at Arsenal, he was a high goal scoring striker, and then he came in and hit the ground right away. Ozil as well. I actually think Ozil was signed for the wrong team because, again, why would you sign Ozil and if you're Arsene Wenger and then, in that same summer, you don't bring in a quality striker because Olivier Giroud really did us a lot of non-service.
In Sanchez?
Ozil definitely like Sanchez. I think Sanchez just went under the radar, but good player, like quality player.
Would you include Rice there?
No question.
Okay, so 4. So 4 signings that have been next level.
Yeah, next level. I think this is going to sound a little bit, sour for Arsenal ears, but Peter Cech would be there. I think when he came in at Arsenal, he really had a very, very big decline. But if you think about the profile of Peter Cech, and by the time we were signing him, what he had done for Chelsea for all those years, I was really excited about Peter Cech. I thought that we were going to get like a good goalkeeper that would give us that kind of assurance for quite some time. It just didn't happen.
Now I hear you, but like on that level, okay, 4 or 5 more the last
Yeah,
12
4 or
years.
5
So
months.
Kimmich should be on that level. Like for even Arsenal to be mentioned, you've gone through those teams. I'm like, wow, 3 years ago, there is no chance would have been competing with Real Madrid, Man
Nah,
City, Bayern Munich
nah,
for
no
players.
way.
No chance. Now we are being mentioned with that team. It shows that we've gone back to the level that we know Arsenal can be and we've always been. And also, if we manage to get someone like a Kimmich ahead of those teams, that would be incredible. There's a reason why those teams are linked to him. Now, Zubimendi, all respects to him, but I don't think you'll hear Arsenal, Man City, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid all wants to be Mendy. Actually, all the players that have been linked in the market, even Olise, you wouldn't really hear Real Madrid want him, Barcelona want him, all these teams want him. But for Kimmich, there's a reason all of those teams want him because of that experience and that know-how. And on top of that, it takes set pieces, corners, free kicks for Germany, for Bayern, like absolute experience. So being linked to a player like that, being in those conversations is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, Joshua Kimmich, no problem there. If he's earning around 20 million a year, maybe that would be the question. But for his experience, for his pedigree, and for him coming in with the winning mentality, and he's done it in the UEFA Champions League, he's done it in the league before. You've got to give him that wage because he is actually going to justify it. Another player whose wages are questionable. Now it's been.
Oops, Cossy has disappeared. So I am all alone. I am all alone. I don't know what.
Okay, it's been quoted.
Just go ahead.
It's been quoted in Spain that Nico Williams wants 250,000 to 300,000, and however much I would pay 300,000 to a player like Kimmich, I'm skeptical about giving 300,000 to a player like Nico Williams. Now, I don't know whether Atletico Bilbao have done this in order to just make sure that they 100% keep him, or they've done this in order to reward him as a player, and maybe his entry just sure that they will get another club that will give them that amount. But let's look at the wages, because we've talked about Nico Williams before. We know what he can do. We know where he would fit in. Now the problem would be the wages. Cheaper release clause, but 250,000 a week. That is difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult because of the wages. Now, you also have to have a stability in the team. You don't want to bring players and give them 350,000. I think you also said something about it. So it gives wages in terms of rewarding someone who's done something. So Odegaard probably deserves that. Saka deserves that. Saliba, Rice. So I don't think you can really bring Nico Williams and put him like in terms of wages ahead of Rice and Odegaard and those players. You don't want to create a situation where Odegaard wants to increase his wage because of that, or Rice wants to increase his wage because of that. Yeah, but listen, the kind of direction we are going competing with Man City, unfortunately, we have to spend money. We have to, give players wages. We have to increase other people's wages because that is the team we are competing with. You have to pay money, even if it means you're going to have a 50 million pound player on the bench, 3 or 4 of them. That is how you're going to compete with Man City. Whether you're going to buy someone and give them 250,000 a week, that's how you're going to compete with Man City. So for me, I think it's around that. I'd wouldn't go like too overboard. I'd say 220. I wouldn't go too overboard. I think 220. Absolutely fine. So I think it's a very good player. Considering we would only get him for like less than 50 million, then the wage is a bit okay. If he was like 90 million and then 250,000 a week, then in terms of balance, that's too much. So since we would buy him for less, then that is absolutely fine.
Lovely says Kimmich or maybe Mikel Merino at Real Sociedad. They're not at the same level. They're not at the same level. I do like Merino. Think he's a quality player. There's quality there, but they're not at the same level. You really cannot say, you really cannot say they're at the same level. Benson says Kimmich is being chased by big clubs where our own Gunners cannot compete with the big boys. I think we've competed with a couple of we've competed with a couple of
people still have that mentality from 4 years ago. This is not Arsenal from 4 years ago. That's why last season when we were linked to Rice and Man City, everyone like came to the comments and like, Man City want Rice, obviously you're not going to get him. Or like, no, we are going to get him. Now we've now competed for the league title. Don't fear these teams. Go ahead. We're going to fight for players with Madrid and Man City. If they get them, fine, you go for another one. But we're no longer that team that, oh my goodness, this player cannot join us because we're up against Man City. No, Havertz was wanted by Bayern, Rice was wanted by Man City, Raya was wanted by Bayern. We still managed to get these players. So
thank you so much for watching the Cossy and Glenn podcast on Cossy's Arsenal podcast. It comes your way at 9 p.m. So make sure you're always tuned in, and we will catch up with you right in the next one. Have a good night.